Are you ready to transition from a warm-up where there's some light jogging, maybe some dynamic warm-ups, maybe bands, foam rolling, to a warm-up where the kids are really activated, it doesn't take a lot of time, and you're ready to go and you're going into your practices right away within a couple of minutes? Well, that's what I want to talk about in this week's video. Hey coaches, Coach Martens here. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. This channel is dedicated to coaches seeking ways to help their athletes perform their best on game days. So today's topic is warm-ups. And I'll tell you a quick story in my background on this topic. My first year coaching to now, our warm-up is outrageously different from where it began to where it is now. And the intent is to make sure everything is purposeful and everything has meaning and value and brings out the best out of our athletes, which again is the goal of this channel. Something I feel we need to start with is, what is the purpose of a warm-up? What are you trying to get out of that session? Some people have a 15, 10 minute, us it's practically 5 minutes for us, of what are you trying to get out of that in terms of preparation for the practice, the workout. Most people I don't think would disagree. It's raise the body temperature, blood flow, and prepare the major muscle groups, maybe some dynamic stretching, some different things, hamstrings. Let's target those trouble areas that some of us have had in our past. And another major factor that I think needs to influence your warm-up choice is the 80-20 rule. I'm a huge believer in the 80-20 rule, which is that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. So what are those 20% things that give us those big results? And that's, we've eliminated everything but those 20% things to make sure that our athletes are prepared. They're still focusing on being injury free, but also making sure that our warm-up is focused, is intense, and that it's truly preparing us for practice. So I do want to start off with where it was to where it is now, and kind of the reasons why, especially because I think it's important to look back on why you did what you did and what you changed, and especially the why. It's so important to know your whys. So this is a warm-up that's been influenced by people that I've coached with, and I still very, very much look up to those people as influencers of who I am and how I coach. But it's just something that we've gone away from, and like I said, I want to get into the whys later. But pretty standard to warm up with a little bit of light jogging around the field, get into some lines, and do some dynamic warm-ups. And first day of practice, we spent a good deal of time teaching this warm-up. And again, with good intent at the time, it was to make sure that we start practice on the right foot, get them fired up, get them ready for practice. And this is how we did games. And I think we were more geared towards the routine rather than the content of the, if it looks good, it's going to be good, instead of, is it truly the best for preparation, for practice and lifting and things. So again, we'd go into a series of whistles and claps and things like that to kind of get them riled up and things. And then, pretty standard dynamic warm-up, some knee grabs, different monster walks, donkey kicks, front lunges. Everybody's got different names for everything. But the pretty standard side lunges, inchworms, things like that, just to make sure we're hitting all those major muscle groups. And then we get into what we called sprint drills. Again, I'm also a track guy, so the high knees, the butt kicks, the back pedals. And again, it was more so, stepping back and really reflecting on a lot more about the routine than really looking good, rather than doing those bang for your buck exercises and movements. And then we got into, depending if this is a practice, obviously this isn't for weight room, but we got into scoop and score, scoop and cradle, high point drills, and everybody was doing these things. These are just football drills and skills. Or we would do a series of grass drills. Some people call them mat drills. We do them out on the grass. But your bear crawls, your crab walks, just your animal movements and things like that. And I'm not saying if you do these things, that's good for you, that everybody's found their ways of doing things. These are some things we've kind of step back and reflected on, and what I challenged our coaches this last couple of years to do is make sure that we are putting everything in place that's football specific. So eliminating things that are not football specific, hence the change in the movement and the change for our upcoming warm-ups. Okay, so fast forward to 2020. And we adapted a lot of this stuff in 2019 and made changes and found new things for 2020. But the first thing that we started doing this about 3 years ago, and I'm telling you, it's an absolute game changer. It's called RPR. I've mentioned it a couple other times on my channel. That's something that we do every day, whether it's football practice, weightlifting session. Sometimes we'll do it twice a day, but it's something that our kids have really, really bought into. And I generally don't like to use the word bought in. But let me tell you just a personal story. So this week, our weight room opened up for just general purpose in its community use. And I got the opportunity to supervise it.
It's very hard to do, but I stay back and I don't say anything. I can't say anything. But what I notice are our kids, they come in and they do RPR. They know where to grab. We made our own activation sticks, and if the more experience you are with RPR, the more that makes sense. But we made our own out of just PEX tubing, and I can share that with you guys. I'd be happy to. But they come in and they hit their zone 1, they hit their zone 2, they hit their zone 3, and they're activated. They're ready to go. In fact, we've eliminated the word warm-ups from our vocabulary, because when I think of warm-up, I think, you say skips, ready, go, and it's la-di-da, and it's what purpose is it? What really are the kids doing to get ready for their sport? So we've eliminated that, and it's activation. We're activating the body. We're turning those light switches on. Again, that's also coming from RPR. And we don't always do, so just here's my disclaimer, we don't do all of these all the time. We kind of mix it up and keep things fresh, but RPR is an everyday. That's a no-brainer. And another thing we've really dive into is called freestyle warm-up. And I got the idea from Dan Fichter. And again, all these names I keep throwing out, these are people you need to look into. They instantly add value to your program, some of the ideas they have. But we played with this idea called the freestyle warm-up, where the kids actually play with and they learn the things that make them feel good. Everybody's trying to apply this blanket warm-up that's this magical recipe for not getting injured. But the body and the kids, they know what they like and what they don't like and what works and what doesn't. So we've tried to tap into that. So we taught them things like isocods, spinning, rolling, good side drills. And again, Dan Fichter, he's amazing every time I've ever heard him speak. So we've actually implemented that. We do that on game day even. We show up to the field and we call it freestyle. You get to go do the things that make you feel good, and which is half the battle, is the kids find out what works and what doesn't work for them. Spring ankle, that's more something that we use in the weight room as a pre-workout. Again, if you want that description or what that looks like, I have a link to that in the description. Just look down there for it. But we do one phase of the spring ankle every single day when we're working out in the weight room. And then we've adapted into, again, we still call them sprint drills. My diagram here is just to kind of demonstrate the difference between how we used to do it and how we now do it. Again, it was just silly to line them up in big, long lines and say, go, 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 how long that takes. Again, I'm all about efficiency and 80-20. We talked about the 80-20 rule. So we put them all on the boundary, and we go boundary to hash and hash back to boundary, and we can get a bunch of guys through a warm-up really, really quick. Again, I said warm-up. But sprint drills, we get through them really quick. And then, again, this is our progression. Ninja Warriors is something that I came up with. But we just go through this real quick sprint drill regimen to make sure that, again, we're preparing to go fast. Because, again, that's our emphasis, is we play based on speed. And by the way, like when we go through the RPR, that takes only a couple of minutes. The freestyle warm-up, same thing, maybe a minute tops once the kids really have what they feel good down. The spring ankle we don't do at practice, but we do in the weight room. The sprint drills we can get down to 4 or 5 minutes, and then bam, we're into offensive or defensive drills right away. And what better way to warm up the body and prepare for football than football? And the goal is we've tried to eliminate everything that's not football related. So keep in mind, everything up here is just a couple of minutes long, and then we get into it. So if you're a spread team, the pat and go, the set on the noose, the routes on air, pretty staples in your programs, I would hope. Lineman footwork, tackling, anything that you can imagine, that those are crucial skills on a football field that need to get repped every day. They can be used as warm-ups. And I think about, and I'm just in this, in this tight little screen, we've got a demonstration, but we talk about the standard like warm up where you go side to side and they shuffle. A skip pull, that's the same thing. Okay? They're going to their side, they're getting lateral movement, they're getting push, but they're working on a football skill. And that's really what we've tried to do, is can we make football skills a part of our warm up? And that's been a huge game changer as far as time. So now within 5-10 minutes tops, we're into drill work on the football field, and how much better use of our time and our kids' time is that to prepare them for a game.
So there you go, coaches. There's a couple of adaptations that we've made to our warm-up regimen that, again, we feel made it shorter, but also even more effective, which is, I think, another key emphasis, not just shortening it for the sake of shortening it, but effective. So the RPR, some of the Dan Fichter stuff, which I've just now tapped into and beginning to get into, and then again, the spring ankle, again, that's in the description. Feel free to take a look at it. That's free. And if you want to know more, and if you want to know anything about those things, I'd love to interact with you in the comments. So feel free to leave a comment. If you want, specifically, I can maybe make a video related to any one of those topics individually. So love to hear from you in the comments. And coaches, let's make sure that we're always making sure that we're making the best choices possible so that our athletes perform on game day.